Hi guys, so welcome back to my channel, or if you're new here then of course welcome. I'm Danielle and I currently live alone. I'm trying to generally live better on a budget, and with that obviously involves making sure that I use up what I have and consider my purchases a bit more carefully in terms of what comes into my flat as well. And with that I have been attempting to start doing a project use it up. I'm not going to call it a project pan because very few items will necessarily be makeup specifically, but it does include things like using things up in my kitchen, as well as then obviously, yes, the beauty products and everything, but then also kind of homeware items, sort of cleaning products, candles, all that sort of thing. And I have technically been doing this since the start of the year. January was a pretty slow month because I probably started doing it a couple of weeks in and wasn't necessarily that dedicated to it. But then February, I definitely focused on it a lot more as well. And obviously tried to limit the things that I was bringing in terms of sort of, I suppose in a way, doing a no buy or a low buy for things where I could. But with that, I have reached a point now where obviously it is currently the start of March and my partner and his brother are coming over in a few days at this point, and they're bringing across sort of some of the things that I did leave in the US in terms of makeup and skincare and everything like that as well. So I will be needing to start to figure out ways to use up some of the products I have here, the ones that are coming in as well, and figuring out then what I do actually need and everything. The only things that I really purchased in February were some new micellar water and then some new toner, because the two that I had completely ran out. But I have otherwise tried to hold off on purchasing new things where I could, just that I thought, I'm pretty sure I have some of that will be coming across. I didn't want to end up purchasing one and then basically having two nearly full ones of them. But I can't really show you empties for different things because I'm the kind of person where if I was to keep empties, I would end up just putting them into a corner, into a tub somewhere, and I would essentially become clutter blind to them and they would stay there for months on end. And then there'd be too much that when I did go to do my empties, it'd be too overwhelming for me to get rid of it all at once, which some of you might understand that, some of you might think it's just rubbish, just get rid of it. For me, I can't. If it becomes too big of a pile, it becomes too overwhelming to deal with. So I generally won't be doing that. I have been making little lists of things that I have been using up, things that I managed to see. So this was January and it was a very short list. Most of it was actually random bits of food. And I am including certain food things in here because there are definitely certain products that I don't necessarily need, or I don't need in as big a quantity, or I just want to have it so when I want it or need it for a recipe, or when I'm just craving something, I purchase it then, and I just purchase the amount that I need rather than say a set of 4 tins of something that I only use once in a blue moon, when it would make much more sense just to purchase one of them. Although on the other hand, I do want to go to Costco and stock up on very particular things, which is kind of the opposite problem, but something that I want to consider anyway. But so this here is everything that I used up in February beauty wise. It includes things like the hand masks, face masks, various foot masks, lip masks, eye masks, all that sort of thing. And the thing that I'm realizing with those is, yes, I want to use face masks, occasionally maybe use foot masks, but I'm not that fussed about hand masks or under eye masks. I find that the under eye ones, yes, they're cooling, but that's pretty much it. And that's not really necessarily very useful to me. In the same way as like the lip mask that I had and the hand masks. They're great. Hand masks, I have hand cream. I use hand cream pretty regularly, so I don't need to have those special masks for my hands. If I do, I can just get some of those gloves where I can just put the hand cream on, put the gloves on top, and then let it soak up instead, and then just pop those gloves into the wash. That's obviously a lot more sustainable as well than kind of one-use hand masks. Like I said, I do want to finish up using some face masks that I have, but then I'm probably going to revert to getting the ones that are a tub and you just put on, and then I might even try to get the ones from Lush, so then I can take those face masks and the tub sort of back again as well. But I have used up, like I said, I've used up quite a few of those in terms of different types and different styles. I was trying to generally do it all once a week just to be able to get some things out. And at this point, I do basically only have feet and face masks left. So that was definitely productive with that. I also ended up using up a tiny little sort of sample size of some hair care repair mask by Grow Gorgeous. It was the Intelligent Hair Care Repair Mask, and I was just making sure that I used that up. I do have a sort of a leave-in hair conditioner that I put in and then obviously rinse out. So I was just trying to get out this tiny little thing, and I would say that I didn't really necessarily notice that one doing a lot. I think given the length of my hair and the amount it recommended to put it in, the size of the sort of sample, size of the tube meant that it took maybe 3 uses to use it up. So definitely wasn't necessarily the fact that I'd had it sitting around all that time. I was like, wow, I could have used it up and got rid of it so quickly, but oh well. I also managed to finish off a Elizabeth Arden Superstar Skin Renewal Booster. And again, that was such a small, tiny sample of it. But it was all right. It didn't have any negative effects on me. It was fine. I didn't really notice any benefits from it either. So it probably wasn't necessarily the one that I was looking for. I also got a Faith in Nature Balancing Shampoo, the 300ml bottle that I finished off. That was one that I ended up with quite a few different shampoos, shower gels and everything. When my life was a little bit more tricky, you know, some people gave me some things, and I'm very thankful for that. I will always be grateful of the people that rallied around to make sure that I had the basics of everything. But it's also now at a point where I have all of those. I'm able to purchase more expensive shampoos or really specific shampoos that will suit my needs. And I just am trying to use up the old ones in conjunction with the one that I do enjoy. So I did manage to finish that off. And I will say that was actually a pretty good shampoo. It didn't dry my hair out. It didn't make it overly sort of greasy or oily. So it definitely did the whole balancing thing, especially given that at the time my hair was pretty much in crisis. So it was definitely a good shampoo, and it would be one that I would consider purchasing again, especially if I spotted it in sort of TK Maxx or something. I know that you can get them quite often in TK Maxx if they had it on sale and it made it cheaper than a couple of the other ones that I enjoy. As mentioned, I did finish off my micellar water. I'm not entirely sure whether micellar water was from it. It was a really cheap one that wasn't necessarily, it felt like it dried my skin out a little bit, which, you know, isn't obviously that good for a micellar water. But then I also finished off the Nube Origin Anti-Aging Gentle Facial Toner. That's a mouthful. And that was the 125ml one of it. I finished them both basically within the space of the same week. So like I said, I did just pick up some simple ones. I think I got that one at some point from a sort of a subscription beauty box or something quite a while ago. So, you know, and I would actually probably say that I would consider repurchasing that again, but I just wanted to get a cheaper one for now to see if I could actually notice any difference. If I do notice a difference, then I will consider getting the New Bay one again, but I think it's got a bit more of an expensive price tag to go with it, which, you know, when you're trying to clear debts, save money, prepare more for the future in terms of savings and sort of being able to perhaps get towards a house deposit or something, if I don't notice a difference, whilst the other one had a nice scent and everything to go with it, I'm not going to do that right now, because an extra couple of pounds here and there, all of those extra couple of pounds add up. And like I said, I'm in my early 30s. I want to be able to save, not move up in the world. That's definitely not the right way to put it, but be more secure in the world, which, you know, I think we're all trying to strive to do. And if I can do that by not spending loads on a random beauty product, then that's definitely something that I want to consider. But then I also used up a Crabtree and Evelyn, one of the La Source Ultra Moisturising Hand Therapy creams, one of the 25-gram tubes of it. And I did really enjoy it. I found that I needed only a really small amount for it to then cover my whole hands and actually soak in as well, instead of it kind of keeping the moisture as a film for a while and it taking ages to do it. It did soak in really quickly, which is something I appreciate, especially because it's normally the end of my sort of skincare routine on an evening before I head to bed. The last thing I want is to be sitting there sort of over my duvet waiting to be able to kind of touch it and not wanting to get stickiness everywhere. I did use up one of the Lidl mouthwashes as well, the 10-in-1 sort of mouthwash. I have now got the Listerine one, which I do definitely think feels more effective. I know Listerine isn't necessarily the best brand, you know, obviously it was originally kind of a sort of floor cleaning. It was a cleaning product brand essentially. And I know it's not necessarily the best one for you, but it feels more effective than the little one does. So that's at least a repurchase that was worth it, because that is actually one of the other things I picked up at the same time as picking up the micellar water and everything as well, because again, I knew that I had the tiniest amount of mouthwash left, and if I didn't get it that week, then I'd have ended up running out. But that was fine. I also used a brow pencil. All I can tell you is it was a brow pencil. I had it for so long that the logo, the brand, the colour, everything like that had completely wiped away. It was just a brow pencil with a spoolie on the end. So I did finish that off. I am currently working my way through another one. I do at some point want to try to get slightly better brow products, especially now. So a lot of the brow products I've probably had for way too long, but my brows were very different at that point in time. Since then, I've gone through quite a few health issues. It means that my hair, especially in my brows, and what they used to be, they're not quite as full. They're mispatches, you know, when they do grow fully, there are bits where you kind of have the full line and it looks like someone's kind of put a little shaving blade to it and taken a bit off, and they haven't. They just don't grow the way that they're supposed to. So I do need to try to figure out a better brow solution at some point, but I'm still pleased to finish off that particular pencil. It does mean that I think I only have the pencil that I'm using at the minute around. I used up some Dove Nourishing Body Care 48-hour Essential Rich Body Lotion, the 250ml tube thing. I was mainly using that, honestly, as kind of a foot moisturiser. I don't particularly enjoy it on my skin just because it doesn't soak in super well. But where it has been winter, I've been sticking some on my feet, putting my fluffy socks on and just going about my day. And that worked pretty well. Again, I'm holding off purchasing more. I'm using at the minute a sort of a body oil kind of thing, which is nearly empty, and I think I might have another tiny sort of equal sized one as well of those. And then from there, I will then purchase one that I enjoy in terms of the scent, the way that it soaks in, so I can use it on more of my body comfortably as well. But I was definitely pleased to get that gone. And again, that was something that was given to me when I was struggling a bit in terms of finances and getting back on my feet. So it definitely served its purpose. It definitely kept my feet from becoming absolute hell in the winter. But I probably wouldn't go back to one of those again. It's obviously something that if I was gifted one again, then I'd happily use it, but it's not my kind of go-to product. I also used up it was a random brand, an Astonish Body and Soul Soothing Deep Blue Bath Soak, one of the 750ml bottles, so kind of a standard size, similar to kind of a standard Radox bottle. But I didn't actually use that in the bath. I used that to help with cleaning a few different things that I had that were kind of, they weren't beauty related as such. They were, well, this sort of were, but I just used those to, oh, did I? No, so, okay, yeah, so I sort of did it, okay, so I was having a bath. When I say sort of, I mean I put enough water in my bathtub that essentially I could sit there and shave my legs a bit more comfortably than if I was doing it on the shower. And with that, I did just put some bubbles in because it was a tiny amount left. The thing that I was getting confused with is I have a really, really cheap shampoo that I would never put on my hair. It has too many chemicals, too much gunk in, but I use those to clean my reusable cotton pads that I use for my cleansing sort of water and my toner and everything. I've always put those, just a splash of that into some boiling hot water with those, and then give them a good soak before obviously rinsing them out fully again as well. But that was where I was getting a bit confused there. So yeah, I did technically use that tiny bit of bath soak for a bath, I suppose, but like I said, it was literally just enough to cover the tub so I wasn't freezing whilst I was doing my legs. But so as you can tell, I used quite a few beauty things, like I said, especially given February was a short month as well. But I was trying my best to just start to work through things so that I can minimise the amount of items that I do have for when I do get everything else in another week or so. And at that point, so next month, I'm thinking about doing another update. But with that, I will then run through all of the items that I do actually have in terms of, okay, so somehow I've gone from having 2 lipsticks to 15 lipsticks. I don't think it's quite that extreme, but it's definitely more than I would probably like to admit. You know, I've gone from probably 2 eyeshadow palettes to maybe 7 or 8. So I will need to probably sit down with you and try and figure out that inventory, and then perhaps come up with some particular products that I do want to focus on as well. But in the home section, it's a much smaller list, you'll be pleased to know, but it included using some tea lights. Now the reason I put my tea lights down is because back here I've been using my wax melt kind of thing, and obviously the wax melt things come in containers and it takes a long time to use a chunk out of them. So I've been working my way through it, but the better way for me to be able to judge is how many tea lights I've used. So I've managed to do it. So I burnt 11 tea lights in February, as well as 3 different candles, a hot apple pie one that was from Lidl, a mandarin and mimosa one from the Yorkshire Candle Company, and a plum and rhubarb candle that was also from the Yorkshire Candle Company. Both of those were fantastic. I will say, actually, I really loved the hot apple pie one from Lidl. It was definitely a great sort of wintry scent. You know, it kind of had that warming feel, that uplifting feel, the cosy kind of feel that went with it. The plum and rhubarb one kind of matched that a little bit as well. And the mandarin and mimosa one was just a nice lift me up. I always love kind of citrusy scents, so that was a nice one. But then I also finished off, and I'm so pleased that my partner is coming over because he has the other one that was still in the US in storage, a Bath and Body Works Aromatherapy Orange and Ginger Essential Mist Oil. I just use this on my bed linen, normally sort of just before I'm going to bed, but it will pain me when the one that they're bringing over ends because it's a discontinued product and scent, and I really enjoy that kind of orange and ginger scent before I go to bed. Most people would probably view it as a bit more of a zingy, uplifting, kind of vibrant scent, but for me, it's just a very relaxing scent. So that's definitely going to be a problem, but I'm still pleased that I managed to just finish up the one that I have a week or so before the other one that I have comes back into my life. And then for Christmas, I got an advent calendar that has lots of little shower steamers in it. The shower steamers themselves normally last between 3 to 7 days, depending on how much I shower, if the water catches on them as well. But I did put one of those into the bathroom in February, and it was one of the camellia ones. I currently have a strawberry one in there that's nearly gone, so in March you probably see a couple more being used through. But they're all right, they're nice. They mainly pack more of a stronger punch for the first day or so, and then after that the scent kind of definitely dissipates, and you can only mildly notice it when the shower gets going. I think it's kind of all the essential oils in them have not evaporated, but they seem to have kind of dispersed and poofed away. But it's a wonderful thing to have, but again, it's not something I would necessarily go out and purchase myself specifically. I'd probably be more likely to get a room spray or something if I wanted to give the bathroom a bit more of a smell lift, I suppose. And then in the food and drink section, it looks like quite a long list, and it definitely is, but it includes things like me finishing off a Sainsbury's lemon curd. Why does that matter? Well, I have a whole big jar of a different type of lemon curd and some other different curds in different flavours and marmalades and everything. So I wanted to get that one gone. I wanted to finish it so either the rest can stay in the cupboard or I could move the other ones that are in the cupboard to open them and put them in the fridge. I ended up finishing off various biscuits. Why am I mentioning biscuits? Well, if you watch my other videos, I'm trying to eat healthy as well. Having biscuits around, big problem. I eat them and I can't do that. So I have finished off various biscuits, but I've also finished off things like tins of soup. Why do tins of soup matter? Well, I love soup, but I also love making soup. And normally if I want a tin of soup, very specifically, most of the time it will be for a recipe, and I only need to purchase one of them. There isn't much point in me having multiple different tins of, say, mushroom soup or chicken soup sitting on the top of sort of the top layer of my cupboard to just sit there for months. I'd rather just purchase one as and when I need it. I also use a lot of coffee. So for Christmas, I got a Beanies Christmas variety pack, sort of that had 12 sachets in it. But I also finished off one of the Barista Mocha jars from Beanies as well. I really enjoy Beanies coffees in general. I have a whole selection of them. I did ask for them for my birthday and I have been starting to work my way through them. On the drinks front, I also had lots of mini gins as well as a big gin, and then obviously lots of sort of mixers to go with that. So I have been kind of working my way through all of those as well. As well as I still have some Bubbleology bubble tea packs. And I say still because I've had them longer than I should. They have technically gone past their best before. I have one still left at the moment, but I haven't been drinking them as much. And if I want to get more at any point in time, I will just purchase the one and I will know that I will probably be done. But I'm also at a point where I'm more likely to get boba out, which is fine. But obviously it means that I need to try to get rid of the ones that I have there, because otherwise they're just sitting there and they will reach a point where they haven't just gone beyond the best before date. They will go into a sugary goop and 100% go bad. I also used up various types of noodles. I used up my rice vermicelli noodles and my konjac noodles. I'm not that keen on either of those types of noodles. So they were sitting there. They were sitting in a tub that I have just out there in my hallway for ages. I still have some glass noodles and things in there that I need to find ways to use them up, because I'm basic when it comes to noodles. I enjoy egg noodles. I enjoy loads of different types of pasta, but noodles, I'm a bit more picky. I enjoy the soba noodles and the udon noodles that I have, but there's something about sort of a thinner, a more translucent noodle that I just don't particularly get on with. I also finished off things like salted microwave popcorn sachets. Again, going back to the snacks, if I have them, I eat them. And I just don't want them taking up my cupboard space. If I want popcorn, I will go get a bag of the healthy popcorn, where it's just a bag of already pre-popped popcorn in whatever flavour it's in. I will eat it. I will then throw the empty packet away and it will be gone. I won't have multiple packs of microwavable popcorn sitting, taking up room in my cupboard for months. I used up some sauces in the fridge, bacon mayonnaise, garlic aioli, all that kind of thing that again are great to have. But I have one of those small fridge freezers, the ones that you're able to put a microwave on top of, and you could then in theory put something on top of the microwave. In fact, I normally have my weighing scales on top of my microwave that's on top of my fridge freezer. It's definitely a short fridge freezer. So as you can imagine, I don't have a huge amount of space, and I have so many sauces in there. I got rid of my sweet chili dipping sauce, like I said, that bacon mayonnaise, the garlic aioli. I had 2 mayonnaises in there, so I finished one up. I need to get better at figuring out what sauces I actually need and will use regularly, instead of me saying, oh, this one looks nice, using it once and it's sitting there for months, or oh, I should get this for a recipe, but it's actually really similar to this other thing that I already have. So do I need both, or can I just use this as a substitution instead? And the answer 99% of the time is yes, I can just use the one that I already have. And the issue is I want to say, oh, well, look, I've used all of these different food products up and all these different drinks up, and everything is looking better, but it's not. I am terrible for purchasing odd bits here or purchasing a lot of it. And I've been watching other people do project pans and declutters and sort your life out and all that kind of thing. And I've definitely realised that from various points in my past, both a long time ago to pretty recently, it's led me to want to stock up because of a fear that one day I will need it and I haven't got it because I can't afford it, because something's gone wrong in life that means that's not an option for me to have. And I need to get out of that mindset, because yes, that's a possibility. It's a possibility for anyone always, regardless of where we've been, where we're at, where we may go. There is always that risk. But I'm saving money so that if something goes wrong, I have that there to be able to keep surviving and to keep purchasing that single bottle of shampoo as and when I need it. So I don't need to have 5 shampoos now. I don't need to have 10 tins of soup just in case. Because yes, like I said, things can go wrong. Things have gone wrong in my life. But I've learned from that in a way that means I know how to be financially responsible and to make sure that I have that contingency plan there for if something ever happens again. So yes, it's nice to have an abundance, but that abundance is stressful to me. It provides me clutter. It stops me having peace of mind. And I don't want to continue to do that now that I'm in a more secure place. I know that I don't need to have that many things. I know it's wasteful. I know that ultimately that money that I've worked so hard to now be able to have, to be able to go through life without that stress, would be getting wasted. And that feels a bit of a kick in the teeth to my past self. If my past self that barely had anything could see me then wasting products, not using products, letting food go bad, they would be disgraced at me. And I don't want to become that person. So I want to make sure that I don't, by doing things like a project to use it up, not even necessarily minimising, because I'm clearly not a minimalist. I love products, I love things. I don't like empty walls, I don't like empty spaces. But there are limits. There is a difference between a space being empty because it might have a plant in it to it having 10 boxes in it. 10 boxes of things that will take me decades to use up. Things that I will forget even exist. So I don't want to be that person. And I'm hoping that I can take you on this journey of me finding ways to be more responsible, to consider purchases more carefully as I do develop into somebody that does have the financial freedom, but is also able to be financially responsible and to just not let things go to waste. So that is where I am at for this kind of, I suppose, ultimately project use it up introduction. Like I said, I have been doing it for a month or so already, but we are at a point where I will be having so many more items coming into my life soon that I wanted to sort of talk about it with you now so that next month we can get into a, I do indeed have this many items now. Please help me figure it out. But I do also do sort of grocery haul videos, trying to discuss my meals of the week plans and sort of what I have eaten for the week and why I've purchased what I've purchased, to try to keep it as minimal a spending as possible. And then I try to share recipe videos as well, so you know kind of what recipes to try, what ingredients it might be worth purchasing, as well as therefore the odd review, or where it might be worth going out to eat or not worth to eat. So if that is all the kind of content you're interested in as well, and obviously keeping up to date with sort of the project Use It Up journey, please do consider liking and subscribing, and I'll catch you all again very, very soon. Thanks for watching. Bye.